I'm in the process of transforming this rundown building into Lexington's best video game store. In this video, I'm gonna be taking you behind the scenes of the renovations we're making to the space, buying a huge collection that we're gonna use as inventory, and even revealing how much everything is costing me. Folks, this is the Game Store Gambit. Now, the last time I talked about the budget for this store, it was in our store announcement video where I estimated $110,000 for the build out. The number has definitely changed a good bit since then, but before I give you the full update, I wanted to give you a little mini tour around the space. Now, the first huge thing that you'll probably notice has changed since last time is we used to have a big old glass and stone observation wall right here that, as you can see from this massive pile of rubble, has now been torn down. There actually is, on the back side of this, a decent bit of cracking, which is a little bit concerning, so we're gonna have to get all of the necessary supports and everything in there to fix that up. But as you can see, the space now feels way more usable for our online operations. For anyone who doesn't know, this side of the building is actually not going to be the game store. This is going to be the new home for the online operations of myquickflips.com, which is long overdue. We currently have 10 or 11 people that are working out of my basement, and we are all very excited to be in this nice new space. But that actually isn't the only wall that has been torn out to make this space maximally efficient. The other wall that we had to take down was on the side of the actual game store here. You can see sort of the nub of where it used to be. It went all the way and cut this space essentially in half, which made the store feel very tight, very angular, if you guys remember from that first video. It feels way more open and inviting now. I think one of the best features of the space is these huge windows that you can see start in this corner and go span a good bit of that wall, reaching all the way up. I think these are like 8-foot windows, which will make the space super clean looking and bright, despite the fact that we are going to have black ceilings and, get this, even black walls. That's pretty uncommon. The general consensus, right, the rule of thumb, is you don't wanna have dark walls and ceiling because that makes a space feel more confined. I think we're gonna be helped a lot by the amount of natural light that we have so that we can stay consistent with the brand colors and everything and just have the highlights of the light quick flips green here. The ceilings are another thing that have actually been upgraded since we last spoke. They've been completely cleaned and repainted. Before they were pretty dusty and dirty and the vents needed to be cleaned. That at this point is looking much more polished and professional, which I'm really happy about. The other big change is the floors have been grinded down. It might not look like it, and honestly, as I'm looking at some of these, I'm like, are these actually even enough to be retail floors? I don't know, we may have to make a second pass at it. But as it turns out, the floors in here were very craggy and unsuitable for any kind of flooring. What we're going to put in here is a layer of epoxy, so it'll be smooth. I think still like kind of a medium gray, pretty versatile, but will be much lower maintenance than like a carpet option. And hopefully, I'm not a huge fan personally of like laminate wood. I think it looks a little bit residential. I don't think it's great for retail stores, so we're gonna have some sort of a gray flooring solution for this space. Now, my personal favorite update that has happened since we last spoke is actually these bad boys right here. Previously, we did not have any offices back here. In fact, what existed on this wall, as you can see from these little polka dots back here, were some super tall, like gym mirrors. Unfortunately, when they took those off, it ripped off a good amount of drywall, so we're in the process of repairing that right now. But these offices did not exist here even like 2 weeks ago. This one over here is actually going to be mine. I'm very excited. We have a little window framed out already, which is going to be good. Right now, my office is sort of upstairs. It's like 3 floors up from the basement. I'm trying to save some space and do all my admin stuff up there. But the downside of that is I'm much further away from the team. So this office is going to allow both for like privacy and stuff with meetings and whatever that I have to have, especially with individual team members, but also especially with the window, I'll be much more accessible to them when they need me. And also just kind of a cool moment. I built my own office. That, who gets to do that? I'm thinking we got an outlet right here. We put a table, nice little 6-foot table right here. I'm sitting here, king of the castle, king of the castle. Apparently I've also got the breaker in here. So if we lose power, easy access. In a little bit, I'm actually heading back to the basement to do a massive video game buyout purchase for, guess what, more inventory for the store. But before that, let's go ahead and dive into what the actual costs of this space are gonna be. All right, folks, let's play a game, shall we? The game is, how naive was Caleb when starting this game store? I've got the current actual costs of what everything, how much money I'm going to spend, as well as my initial estimates, and we're gonna see how close they were. Starting with construction costs, all right? So we have demolition was $4,700. Concrete grinding, $4,000. Who knew? Drywall, $6,000. That I kind of expected. We're, putting up a decent number of walls, patching a ton of walls. You can't really expect to get away with that for super cheap, but dang, it does still sting. Paint, we haven't done yet, but the current actual bid is $5,000. Floor covering, we also have a bid for, which is $3,500 for an epoxy coating. HVAC, we had to make some minor modifications to at $860. Electrical was $8,000. We had a ton of outlet drops that we had to do all throughout this space because we want to have ample power for our operations. Framing was actually the most pleasant surprise at $1,500. That went up super fast. Plumbing, we had to make some minor modifications. That was $450. Acoustical ceilings have not gone in over the office areas yet, but that's going to be $1,500. And then I've budgeted an extra $2,000 for miscellaneous unanticipated costs. For example, one that I got today, which is that we're going to have to buy a more premium paint to coat a couple of these vents in Quick Flips green to break up a little bit of the black in the ceilings. That grand total comes out to $37,510. And my initial estimate for it, oh dang, $40K, nice job. Good job to Caleb from 2 months ago. That's pretty much as close as you can hope for. All right, now on to the fixtures side. For the display cases that we're going to have in the initial version of the store, which is not gonna be the final version, we're up to $6,000 in estimated costs for those, including shipping and assembly. I found a few slat wall floor displays locally that I think I can get for $300 a piece for 3 of them, so that's $900. Slat wall itself, I'm estimating $3,500 for. That could be up or down, I don't know. Getting a drawer organization system for our loose games, I'm estimating at $600. We'll probably need a couple of $300 to $400 units. That might be a little bit low also. I put another $2,000 of miscellaneous costs in this category. And then finally, the big boy is the retail store sign, which we have gotten an actual bid for at $10,000, leaving us with a total cost in the fixtures category of $23,000. I think my initial estimates for these, I split them up. I had 15 to 20K for the fixtures themselves and then 13K for the sign. So I was only off, we actually were pleasantly surprised on the sign side. The only thing is that will only cover one of our street-facing walls, and we actually have 2 of them. So long-term, I would love to get another internally illuminated channel sign on the other side of the building for maximum street visibility that maybe says something like, buy, sell, trade video games or something like that. So between these two, a 30,000-ish estimate for all fixtures, actual costs so far of 23,000, but granted, that's skimping slightly on our sign and also on not all of these floor fixtures that eventually I'd like to have. Okay, folks, up next, this is where it actually gets bad. This is where I feel like I've been punched in the gut a little bit. I did not expect costs to be this high. So the first expense here that I didn't expect was window reinforcements. So that's going to run us $5,700. Our security system installation is going to be $3,700. We're not just going with a run-of-the-mill like residential system because I really want our inventory and our team to be as safe as possible. And with the increased visibility that we have from my online presence, security is something that I just don't want to skimp on. I've talked to multiple video game store owners who have counseled me, dude, it just doesn't feel the same once you've experienced a significant break-in. So if there's anything that I can do to deter that, I absolutely want to, which is part of the reason that we're also buying a top-of-the-line security gate system. That security gate is going to cost us $17,000. Now, that's an absurd number, which leads us to a total of $26,400 on the security side alone, which I absolutely didn't expect. I didn't budget anything specifically for security in my cost estimate, so that is easily the biggest category where Caleb was absolutely naive. And last but not least, folks, we have inventory costs, which is by far the hardest to estimate and measure. Initially, I think what did I budget for? $30,000 I budgeted on the inventory side specifically for store stuff that is not going to get sold in our mainline online operations. But what I've unfortunately had to realize over the last couple weeks is that is likely significantly low. Last week, in our last episode alone, I bought a $25,000 collection that will largely be used for the store. That actually was kind of split up. Some will go online, some will go in store. In addition to that, today, I'm about to spend another very large chunk of money that you guys will see. And in addition to that, we've also been taking a lot of strategic items from our online submissions from the people who are selling stuff on myquickflips.com and saving that for the store as well. My best guess at this point is $50,000 to $60,000 in inventory costs of stuff that we are saving in my spare room right now to eventually fill these shelves that don't exist yet. Folks, the initial total that I estimated for costs was right at $110,000. Given all of the updates that I just mentioned to you guys, our current total estimate is about $136,000. So we can put a big old boom, naive stamp on the Phoenix resale grade card for this one. And the unfortunate thing is that 136 grand doesn't even account for all of the new stuff we're going to have on the operations side. I'm talking new tables, new shelving, at least 3, maybe 4 new computers. Actually, 2 of those computers are going to be for the trade-in and checkout counter over here on the retail side. Shina just told me that we're going to need 2 new resurfacing machines, which are going to cost me, I actually just paid a total of 9 grand. So suffice to say, folks, this game store is slowly but surely bleeding me dry. So Marcus, walk me through what are we actually looking at here, man? This is crazy.
Okay, so this is a big ton of my collection. We have a complete North American Wii set.
Okay.
Complete North American Wii U set.
Uh-huh.
We have a subset, the Game Boy Advance NES Classic Edition that is somewhere in a small box, trying to keep that together. Pretty much all of my retro stuff.
I mean, this might be the biggest collection that we've ever bought by game volume. I'm not sure. Some of the largest boxes I've ever seen. We'll also have Shina and Logan help us unbox all of this stuff. Logan, what are you seeing here?
A lot of cool stuff.
No, this looks so far. I mean, Famicom, completed box. Yeah. Oh, all the NES Classic series. No way.
So, Marcus, if you would, can you walk me through, like, where did all this stuff come from?
Just my couple years of collecting this, big Nintendo fan, obviously.
Uh-huh.
So I got the Wii U set first. I was still collecting. I wanted to do another set. And I decided to go left and do the Wii, which is just, completely left field. And, and then I started on the DS and,
And just kept going.
Yes.
Shina, what are you finding over there?
Oh God. Oh my God. Now I can be loud. Oh my God. Dude, look, it's completed box. But look at this. This is so rare to find now. The completed box Zelda Edition 2DS.
So where was most of this stuff sourced?
I went to a ton of conventions. It was a lot there. The Wii U mostly was when GameStop was clearing clearancing Wii U out and moving that out. And the DS and everything else was pretty much out going game hunting.
This is amazing timing for us because, as you know, we're in the process of opening up a store. I originally was thinking that this complete North American Wii U set we would hold off on putting in the store until our grand opening, probably in the fall. But the reality is, I don't know if I want to sit on it that long. So we may actually end up having all of this available whenever we soft open. Hopefully sometime in late July is the current expectation. As we're shooting this, it's mid-June, so we've got a long way to go.
You'll see some collector's editions, probably like down this entire row here. DS, there's some heavy hitters in here. Of course, the Wii U heavies, Devil Stirred, Action Verges in there as well.
All right, Shina, give me the rundown on the coolest items over here.
I don't even, guys, this whole thing is just so cool. But can you believe, like, just looking at this top area right here, how many rare and really hard to find expensive games are there? Can you believe that used to be like 20 and now it's like about what, $50 or
Yeah,
something?
40, 50.
We got the trilogy with the steelbook.
Marcus, you said that this was one of the last ones that you got.
Well,
The
it was like
collection?
in the middle, but that's definitely for sure one of the most expensive.
Why is it super rare?
Yeah, they made like a limited amount of copies,
How much you think?
300.
Dang.
And it's 300 on the DS too.
$300
Oh
for
my
Veggie
God.
World. And then, yeah, this is kind of an iconic one too, right?
Oh my gosh.
Ju-on the Grudge.
Yes.
Have you played
guys.
this?
No, I didn't. I always wanted this game, but like obviously, how am I gonna get that? My mom would be like, no. Oh my.
Oh, geez.
Yeah,
Yeah.
look at that and look
Woo.
at that.
Just Dance
The
2020.
very last game
Yeah.
on the Wii.
Yep.
I can't remember ever having these tables stacked as high as this with anything.
No, absolutely.
I think this has got to
not.
be a personal record for quick flips. Well, folks, at this point, we have everything at long last all set out on the table. Parts of it you can barely even see over. Marcus, I'm curious, how long did it take you to accumulate all this stuff?
Probably roughly around like 5 years.
A 5-year collection all on this table. He said that the Wii collection alone is worth around $18,000,
Yep.
and there are over 1,200 games all on this table. We were just going through some of the fun ones. Ju-on, there's like a random cycling game that's super expensive.
Yes.
We settled on about half of market value for everything here. Normally we'd be a little bit hesitant given how many Wii games are like in that sub $10 range.
Yes.
But it's so cool, man, to just get the entire collection of something in at once. And I really appreciate you bringing it all the way from Maryland, man.
Thank you.
Safe
Appreciate
travels.
It. Appreciate it.
Well, folks, $14,000 and a couple of sagging tables later, I now own every single Wii game. And I'm now pondering the question of, okay, what the heck do we do with all of this stuff? The original plan was to take all of these Wii games and all the Wii U games, save them up for grand opening, and then sell them there to, you know, have a little bit of hype behind the store. We have every Wii game, every Wii U game, some cool marketing. I realized that is too long of a time horizon. So we decided to bump it up to making these things available in the soft opening, hopefully next month. But as I'm looking at it now and I'm looking at all of these titles, I'm realizing, okay, how much of a draw is Family Party 30 Great Games Winter Fun really going to be? That is the actual name. Not to be confused, by the way, with Family Party 30 Great Games Outdoor Fun. Not to be confused with Family Party Fitness Fun. How much of a draw are these family party games and the vast library of shovelware that is the Wii catalog really going to have for a new store? As a business owner, I'm always trying to count the opportunity cost of any given move. And the reality is games like these sell weirdly well on Amazon. This like broad appeal, not super high quality, casual gamer kind of stuff for whatever reason does well for us. So my current plan, I think, is to actually sort through all of these Wii games just like we do an average batch on an average day, pick out the ones that would be a solid draw for the store, and sell everything that would get a disproportionate return on Amazon on there in the meantime. Because as you guys well know, we've got a good amount of fixtures and miscellaneous costs to save up for before opening. Here are a few examples of some of the coolest games that will end up in the store. We got Dokapon Journey, Sola de Robo, Commando, Chrono Trigger, Super Robot Tyson, Zombie Barbecue Devil. I mean, it just keeps going on. I do think that there are few enough Wii U games that we will go ahead and soft launch with the entire Wii U library in stock, because I just think that's kind of hype. But then that also begs the question of what about all of this other miscellaneous beautiful goodness that Marcus brought us? And that stuff we're also kind of in the process, like Logan is right now as we speak, of going through and figuring out what goes where. How are the stacks shaking out here, Logan?
They're looking good. Going through the DS stuff right now.
Uh-huh.
Renewed, regular, and I have a lot to go through, but it's all looking really good so far.
Have you found anything so far that's going into the store?
Everything in this box so far.
So we will have such classics as Solitaire Overload, Jam Sessions, Go Diego Go. This is like the opposite end of the spectrum. We want to in the store have a solid mix of staples, right? The Marios, the Sonics, we've saved a bunch of those up already. We want to have the more collectible titles like the Super Robot Tysons and the Devil's Thirds. And then we also want to have the more accessible titles, right? Like like dolphin discovery, for example. Wow, man, this is crazy. Excuse the hair, please. I just wanted to stop back by the store after I went to the gym tonight, and look what already has been done. Some of our piping has been painted in Quick Flips green. Wow, that is cool to see. Dang, in my opinion, it actually looks way better on the production side. I wish we had more of this like big round venting over on the store side. That looks kind of cool. You know what, I'm just gonna put my sweaty gym hat back on. Nobody has to know, right? Now, there's one thing that I want to make sure I'm very clear about in this whole money discussion, especially for people who are considering starting your own video game store, and that's you do not have to spend this much. There are really two reasons that this build out is going to be so expensive. One is that 2/3 of this square footage in general is actually taken up by the online operation, which we were going to have to move out of the basement anyway, so we've been saving up cash flow from the main business to bankroll this purchase and this expansion for some time now. And the other reason is at this point, I've been doing this for, gosh, 5 or 6 years now, and I have way more confidence than I initially did in my ability to spot new opportunities and invest confidently. It bears mentioning that I started my resale business 6 years ago with $500, and I am much more bullish on that kind of scrappy, low-cost startup when you're just getting started than taking a big swing like this. I probably also should note that we're doing all of this without any external investment or debt. That's something that I just don't want weighing on my mind, but it's another reason that if you were looking to do this in the same way that we have, it would be tough if you're starting from scratch. My friend Mark recently opened a smaller video game store with about $25,000, not including his pre-existing inventory, and he said even that was not nearly enough money. So my best advice to someone who is looking to start a store, as someone who at this point has decidedly not started a store, would be to do what I did, start really small and gradually work up to it. Now, at the time of filming this, the announcement video about this store has now launched, and it's been really cool to see people's different receptions to it. I just went to SoCal Gaming Expo, and so many of the vendors were just stoked for us. I've had a bunch of comments that people are gonna road trip out here to see us. But if you start a video game store in 2025, you're also likely to see a fair amount of cynicism. Lots of folks might question the downfall of physical media or the reliability of retail in general as a model. They might question your understanding of the depths of the differences between the online sales model and selling in a physical store. They might mock you for having a terrible hairline. But I'll tell you the interesting thing, folks. When I started OneUp, which has now become the Quick Flips website, people were also super cynical about that. You can actually go back today to the comments on those videos and see maybe the majority of people saying things like, my dev team is overcharging me and nobody would actually ship us collections of games, and I don't understand software and this thing's gonna be a fruitless money pit. But fast forward to 2 years later, and that website is now the lifeblood of our entire business. I've heard they have a saying in the world of startup investing that in Silicon Valley, the cynics get to be right, but the optimists get to be rich. I think when it comes to people trying to do hard things, cynical people get to be right because statistically, most of us will fail. But the good news for business owners like us is that you really only have to be right once for it to really change your life. Now, folks, I believe in what this store can be from the bottom of my heart, but the reality is there's a very real chance it could turn out to be a massive failure and an even bigger waste of money. The truth is, at the end of the day, I don't know, but the cool thing about documenting the whole process is if you stick around long enough, we'll get to find out together.